The stars twinkled in the night sky, unaware of the storm brewing among them. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, the Galactic Council stood as a beacon of unity. It was a grand alliance of alien civilizations, each unique in their own right. For centuries, they had worked together, sharing knowledge and resources. Their massive space stations and sleek ships were a testament to their combined power. Humanity had just joined this cosmic community. Earth's leaders were excited about the possibilities. They dreamed of exploring new worlds and learning from advanced races. The people of Earth celebrated their entry into a bigger universe. Children looked up at the stars with wonder, imagining the friends they might make. But not all was as it seemed. In a hidden chamber on the Council's main station, a secret meeting was taking place. The room was dark, lit only by the glow of holographic displays. Alien faces of all shapes and sizes looked at each other with worry. "Humans are too dangerous," said a tall, blue-skinned alien. His voice was cold and hard. "They learn too fast. They adapt too quickly." Another alien, with 4 arms and green scales, nodded. "I agree. In just a few years, they've already mastered technologies that took us centuries to develop." The leader of the council, an ancient being with glowing eyes, spoke last. "We cannot allow them to grow stronger. The decision is made. Earth must be removed." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. None of the aliens thought about the millions of innocent lives they were condemning. To them, humans were just a threat to be eliminated. Back on Earth, life went on as usual. People went to work, children played in parks, and scientists worked on new discoveries. They had no idea of the danger coming their way. In orbit, Earth's new defense stations stood guard. They were gifts from the Council, symbols of trust and friendship. But inside these stations, hidden programs began to activate. Weapon systems turned towards the planet they were meant to protect. The attack came without warning. It was a normal Tuesday afternoon when the sky lit up with fire. Massive energy beams shot down from the stations, striking major cities around the world. New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai, all were hit in the first wave. Panic spread like wildfire. Emergency sirens wailed as people ran for shelter, but there was nowhere safe to hide. The bombardment continued, relentless and merciless. World leaders scrambled to respond, but their commands fell on deaf ears. Earth's military found their systems hacked and useless. The few ships they had were no match for the Council's advanced technology. In the White House, the President of the United States watched in horror as reports flooded in. "How could they do this?" she whispered, tears in her eyes. "We trusted them." Across the planet, scenes of destruction unfolded. Skyscrapers crumbled like sand castles. Bridges collapsed into rivers. Forests burned, and farmlands were scorched to ash. But even in the face of this betrayal, the human spirit showed its strength. People helped each other, risking their lives to save strangers. Firefighters fought impossible blazes. Doctors treated the wounded in makeshift clinics. As night fell on the first day of the attack, the true scale of the devastation became clear. Millions were dead. Great cities lay in ruins. The world that humanity had known was gone forever. In underground bunkers, the survivors huddled together. They were shocked, angry, and afraid. But in their eyes, a fire was starting to burn. It was a fire of determination, of rage, and of the will to survive. Little did the Galactic Council know, their actions had not crushed humanity. Instead, they had awakened a fury that would shake the very foundations of their power. The betrayal was complete, but humanity's story was far from over. In the darkness of that terrible night, the seeds of resistance were already beginning to grow. The sun rose on a changed world. Where once proud cities stood, now only ruins remained. Smoke filled the air, blocking out the light. The Galactic Council's attack had left Earth in chaos. In what was left of New York, Sarah stumbled through the rubble. She had been a teacher just yesterday. Now she was a survivor. Her clothes were torn, and her face was covered in dust. But her eyes were sharp, searching for any sign of life. "Hello," she called out. "Is anyone there?" A weak voice answered. Sarah rushed to a fallen building and started moving pieces of concrete. She found a young boy trapped underneath. With all her strength, she pulled him out. "Thank you," the boy whispered, clinging to her. Sarah looked around. There were more people who needed help. She couldn't save them all, but she had to try. Across the ocean, in the ruins of Tokyo, a similar scene played out. Hiroshi, an old man, led a group of survivors through the destroyed streets. He had lived through wars before, but nothing like this. "Stay together," he told the group. "We must find food and water." They moved carefully, avoiding fires and unstable buildings. Every now and then, they would hear a scream or a cry for help. Each time, they had to make the hard choice: stop to help or keep moving to survive. In Africa, the Sahara Desert had become a refuge. The aliens had focused on cities, leaving the remote areas untouched. Tribes that had lived in the desert for generations now found themselves hosting refugees from bombed-out towns. Amina, a desert guide, looked at the crowd of people around her camp. "We will share what we have," she said. "The desert is harsh, but it will hide us from our enemies." The massacre wasn't just on the ground. In orbit, the International Space Station watched helplessly. The astronauts there, both human and alien, were horrified by what they saw. Commander Chen, the station's leader, made a difficult decision. "We can't go back to Earth," he told his crew, "but we can record everything. The galaxy needs to know what happened here." As hours turned into days, the true scale of the disaster became clear. Major governments had fallen. Communication networks were down. Millions were dead, and millions more were missing. In underground shelters, in mountain hideouts, and in remote islands, survivors gathered. They shared stories of loss and pain, but they also shared stories of bravery and hope. Dr. Emilia Rodriguez, working in a makeshift hospital in the Amazon rainforest, treated endless streams of injured people. "We're running out of supplies," she told her team. "But we can't give up. Every life we save is a victory against those who tried to destroy us." The Galactic Council, watching from their ships, thought their work was done. They believed Earth was finished, its people broken. They couldn't have been more wrong. In a hidden military base deep under the Rocky Mountains, General Michael Hawke looked at the few remaining world leaders. Their faces were grim, but determined. "They think they've won," Hawke said, his voice low but powerful. "They think we're defeated, but they don't know humans. We don't break, we don't give up, and we sure as hell don't forget." The leaders nodded. Plans were already forming. Scientists worked around the clock, studying the alien weapons that had fallen to Earth. Soldiers trained in secret, preparing for a fight like no other in human history. As the sun set on another day of destruction, a change was happening. The shock was turning to anger. The fear was becoming determination. In hidden places all around the world, humans were not just surviving. They were getting ready to fight back. The Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They had tried to wipe out humanity. Instead, they had created the biggest threat they would ever face. The massacre was over, but humanity's revenge was just beginning. 2 weeks had passed since the Galactic Council's attack. The initial shock was fading. In its place, a fierce determination was growing. Humanity was waking up, and it was angry. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in a secret bunker, world leaders gathered. The room was tense. These men and women carried the weight of Earth's future on their shoulders. President Maria Chen of the United States spoke first. "We've been hit hard, but we're not out. It's time to fight back." Prime Minister Yuki Tanaka of Japan nodded. "But how? Their technology is far beyond ours." That's when Dr. Alex Rivera, a brilliant scientist, stepped forward. "Maybe not as far as we think. We've been studying the alien weapons that fell to Earth. There's something strange about them." He pulled up a holographic display. "Look here. These weapons, They're made for our hands. The aliens designed them specifically to attack us." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then Russian President Dmitry Volkov slammed his fist on the table. "They were planning this all along, even when they pretended to be our friends." The anger in the room was palpable, but it was no longer a helpless rage. It was turning into something more focused, more dangerous. Meanwhile, in hidden bases around the world, humanity was preparing. In the Australian outback, Colonel Sarah Harper trained a new kind of soldier. "Forget everything you knew about war," she told her troops. "We're fighting for our very existence now. Every one of you needs to be smarter, faster, and tougher than you've ever been." The soldiers pushed themselves to the limit and beyond. They knew the stakes. Failure meant extinction. In Silicon Valley, or what was left of it, the brightest minds on Earth worked tirelessly. They reverse-engineered alien tech, combining it with human ingenuity. Mark Zhang, a young programmer, made a breakthrough. "I've cracked their communication code," he shouted, his eyes wild with excitement. "We can listen to everything they're saying." Across the globe, in the dense jungles of Brazil, something even more extraordinary was happening. Maria Duarte, a local shaman, discovered she could sense the aliens' thoughts. "It's like a buzzing in my head," she explained to amazed scientists. "I can feel their emotions, sometimes even see through their eyes." Word spread quickly. More people came forward with similar abilities. The alien attack had awakened something in humanity, unlocking hidden potential. In Africa, tribes that had lived in harmony with nature for centuries found they could manipulate energy fields. In Tibet, monks who had spent lifetimes in meditation could now move objects with their minds. The Galactic Council, watching from orbit, began to worry. This was not going according to plan. The humans should have been broken, defeated. Instead, they were evolving at an incredible rate. Back in the Swiss bunker, the world leaders made their decision. President Chen stood up, her face set with determination. "We will form a unified Earth Defense Force. Every nation, every person, working together. We'll show these aliens what humanity is really capable of." The others agreed. Old rivalries were set aside. The threat they faced was too great for petty conflicts. As the meeting ended, Dr. Rivera pulled President Chen aside. "There's something else you should know," he said, his voice low. "We found a way to send a message to other alien races who might help us." Chen's eyes widened. "Do it," she said. "We need all the allies we can get." As the leaders emerged from the bunker, they saw a crowd had gathered. People from all walks of life, all waiting to hear what would happen next. Chen stepped forward. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "My fellow humans," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Today we stop running. Today we start fighting back. The Galactic Council thought they could break us. They were wrong. We are humanity, and we will not go quietly into the night." The crowd erupted in cheers. The message spread around the world. In the ashes of destruction, hope was reborn. Humanity was awake, and the galaxy would never be the same. The night was dark and silent. In the ruins of what was once Paris, shadows moved swiftly. These weren't ordinary shadows. They were Earth's new elite force, ready for their first major operation against the Galactic Council. Captain Jack Harper led the team. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark, a side effect of the new enhancements. "Remember," he whispered to his squad, "we're here to hit them hard and fast. Show them humans aren't easy prey." Their target was an alien outpost, hidden beneath the remains of the Eiffel Tower. The Council thought it was safe. They were wrong. As they approached Sarah, the team's psychic closed her eyes. "I sense 15. No, 16 aliens inside. They're relaxed. They don't expect us." Jack nodded. "Perfect. Chen, you're up." Chen, a former hacker turned tech wizard, pulled out a device that looked like a mix of human and alien tech. With a few taps, the outpost's defenses went dark. "We're in," Chen grinned. "They're blind and deaf." The team moved in. They used weapons reverse-engineered from alien tech, combined with good old-fashioned human ingenuity. Silenced shots rang out. Aliens fell before they could even raise an alarm. In the command center, Jack faced off against the alien leader. The creature was tall, with blue skin and 4 arms. It snarled at Jack, reaching for a weapon. But Jack was faster. His enhanced reflexes kicked in. In a blur of motion, he disarmed the alien and had it pinned. "Listen carefully," Jack said, his voice cold. "We're taking this outpost. You're going to tell us everything you know. And then you're going to send a message to your leaders." The alien's eyes widened in fear. It had been told humans were primitive, easy to crush. The creature in front of him was anything but primitive. As dawn broke, the human team emerged victorious. They had captured the outpost, along with a treasure trove of alien tech and information. Back at Earth's hidden command center, General Maria Rodriguez reviewed the mission reports. A smile crossed her face. "It's working," she said to her staff. "We're hitting them where it hurts." Similar raids were happening all over the world. In the jungles of South America, in the deserts of Africa, in the mountains of Asia, humanity was striking back, using guerrilla tactics that left the Galactic Council reeling. But the real game changer was happening in labs across the globe. Dr. Yuki Tanaka held up a small device, her eyes shining with excitement. "We did it," she announced to her team. "We've cracked their FTL drive technology." The implications were enormous. Humanity could now travel faster than light. The stars, once so distant, were now within reach. In orbit, aboard the captured alien ship they'd named Avenger, Commander Lai Wei prepared for humanity's first deep space mission. "We're not just defending Earth anymore," he told his crew. "We're taking the fight to them." The Avenger's engines hummed to life. In a flash of light, it disappeared, heading towards the heart of Galactic Council territory. On Earth, refugees were emerging from hiding. They found a changed world, but one full of hope. In the rebuilt cities, new towers rose, built with a mix of human determination and alien tech. Schools reopened, but with a new curriculum. Children learned about alien biology alongside math and history. They trained their newfound psychic abilities as part of physical education. In a secret facility in Antarctica, the best pilots from around the world trained on simulators based on captured alien ships. They were preparing for the day when humanity would have its own fleet. As night fell over the recovering Earth, people looked up at the stars. But now, instead of fear, their eyes held determination. The Galactic Council had tried to wipe them out. Instead, they had created a force that would reshape the galaxy. In the depths of space, aboard the Avenger, Commander Lai Wei's voice crackled over the comms. "This is humanity's first step into the wider galaxy. But it won't be our last. The Council wanted a war. We'll give them one they'll never forget." The counterstrike had begun, and humanity was just getting started. 6 months had passed since humanity's first counterstrike. The world was changing faster than anyone could have imagined. In a secret lab beneath the ruins of MIT, Dr. Emily Chen stared at her computer screen in disbelief. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the tests again. But the results were the same. She grabbed her phone. "Get me the president. Now." Hours later, world leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. Dr. Chen stood before them, her hands shaking slightly as she began her presentation. "We've discovered something incredible," she said. "The alien attack, it didn't just destroy. It awakened something in us." She pulled up a series of brain scans. "This is a normal human brain before the attack. And this," she paused for effect, "is us now." The images showed brains lit up like Christmas trees, areas glowing that had never been active before. "We're evolving," Dr. Chen explained. "Rapidly. The stress of the attack, combined with exposure to alien tech, has unlocked human potential we never knew existed." The room erupted in excited chatter. President Amara Okafor of the African Union leaned forward. What does this mean for our fight? Dr. Chen smiled. It means we're just getting started. Across the globe, the effects of this evolution were becoming clear. In a training facility in Siberia, Sergeant Dmitry Volkov demonstrated the new human capabilities. He stood in front of a group of wide-eyed recruits. "Watch closely," he said. Then, with a mere thought, he lifted a 2-ton vehicle off the ground. The recruits gasped. One of them, a young woman named Anya, stepped forward. "Teach us," she said, her eyes burning with determination. Meanwhile, in the dense jungles of the Amazon, Maria Gonzalez led a team of researchers. They weren't scientists, but shamans and healers from indigenous tribes. Our ancestors always knew we were capable of more, Maria explained to a group of visiting officials. Now we're rediscovering those ancient abilities. She gestured to a group of people standing in a circle, their eyes closed in concentration. Suddenly, a shimmering energy field appeared around them. A shield, Maria said proudly, strong enough to deflect alien weapons. But it wasn't just defensive abilities that were developing. In a hidden facility beneath the Australian outback, Dr. Jake Thompson worked on a new kind of weapon. "We've combined human bioelectricity with alien energy tech," he explained to his team. "The result is a weapon that responds to our thoughts, faster, more accurate, and more powerful than anything the Council has." As these breakthroughs were happening, humanity's first deep space mission was making incredible discoveries. Aboard the Avenger, Captain Sarah Lee sent an encrypted message back to Earth. "We've made contact with other species oppressed by the Council," her message read. "They're willing to join our fight. The galaxy is ready for change, and humanity is leading the way." Back on Earth, cities were being rebuilt, stronger and more advanced than before. In what was once downtown Tokyo, a new tower rose into the sky. But this was no ordinary building. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka stood at its base, explaining to a group of reporters. "This tower is a combination of human architecture and alien tech. It can generate a force field large enough to protect the entire city." Similar structures were being built in cities around the world. Humanity was not just recovering, it was surpassing its previous limitations. In orbit, a fleet of new ships was taking shape. They were human designs, improved with alien technology, and built to be piloted by Earth's newly enhanced humans. Admiral John Carter looked out at the fleet from his command ship. 6 months ago, we were on the brink of extinction," he said to his crew. "Now, we're about to take the fight to the Council's homeworlds." As the sun set on another day of incredible advancements, people around the world paused to reflect. They had faced annihilation and emerged stronger. They had been underestimated, but were now becoming a force that would reshape the galaxy. Dr. Chen, watching the sunset from her lab window, smiled to herself. "The Council thought they were ending our story," she said softly. "They didn't realize they were just beginning a new chapter. And this time, we're writing the rules." The unveiling of human potential was complete. Now, it was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. The vast emptiness of space was shattered by a brilliant flash of light. The human flagship, Phoenix, emerged from hyperspace, leading a fleet of 100 ships. Captain Zura Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the alien world before them. "This is it," she said to her crew. "Xandar Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council's power." But they weren't alone. Ships of all shapes and sizes appeared around them. The oppressed races of the galaxy had answered humanity's call. On a ship that looked like a living coral reef, Admiral Zix of the Aquarians hailed the Phoenix. "Greetings, humans," his telepathic voice echoed in their minds. "We stand with you against the Council's tyranny." Similar messages came from dozens of other species. Each had suffered under the Council's rule. Each was ready to fight for freedom. Back on Earth, Mission Control erupted in cheers as the reports came in. General Miguel Santos smiled broadly. "Phase 1 complete," he announced. "The alliance is formed. Across the galaxy, on countless worlds, the uprising began. On the desert planet Zartak, giant worm-like creatures burst from the sand, toppling council buildings. In the methane seas of Neptulon, creatures of living gas short-circuited council ships. But it was the humans who led the charge. Their ships, powered by a combination of alien tech and human innovation, tore through the council's defenses like paper. On board the Phoenix, Lieutenant Amira Rashid manned the weapons console, her mind linked directly with the ship's systems, a fusion of human and machine. "Target locked," she announced, firing main cannon. A beam of pure energy lanced out, cutting a council dreadnought in half. The massive ship exploded in a dazzling display of light. On the jungle world of Verdana, a squad of human soldiers fought alongside plant-based aliens. Sergeant John Smith raised his hand, and vines burst from the ground, entangling council troops. "Nice trick," gurgled his alien companion, a sentient tree named Grok. But watch this. Grok's branches extended, becoming a living cage around a group of enemy soldiers. The battle raged across hundreds of worlds. Council forces, used to being the oppressors, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer diversity of their opponents. In the Council's central chamber on Sandar Prime, the alien leaders were in panic. "How is this possible?" screeched Overlord Zank. "They were primitives. We nearly wiped them out." His aide, trembling, replied, "It seems, sir, that we underestimated them, and every other race we've ever encountered." Just then, the chamber doors exploded inward. Through the smoke stepped Captain Chen, flanked by representatives of a dozen alien races. "Your reign is over," Chen declared, her voice steady and strong. "The galaxy will no longer bow to your tyranny." Overlord Zank reached for a weapon, but found himself frozen in place. Behind Chen, a human child stepped forward, her eyes glowing with psychic energy. "No more violence," the girl said softly. "It's time for peace." As news of the Council's fall spread, celebrations erupted across the galaxy. On Earth, people poured into the streets, cheering and hugging each other. Humans and friendly aliens danced together under the stars. In the rebuilt United Nations building in New York, Earth's leaders met with representatives from hundreds of alien worlds. The Galactic Alliance was born, with Earth as a founding member. President Amara Okafor addressed the assembly. "We've won our freedom," she said, "but our work is just beginning. Together, we'll build a galaxy of peace, justice, and mutual understanding." As the delegates applauded, a small group of humans watched from the sidelines. They were the ones who had first fought back, who had led humanity from the brink of extinction to the dawn of a new era. Dr. Emily Chen, her hair now streaked with gray, smiled at her old friends. "We did it," she said softly. "We showed the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." Captain Jack Harper, now Admiral Harper, nodded. "We did more than that," he replied. "We united the galaxy. And that's a legacy that will last for generations." As night fell on Earth, people looked up at the stars with new eyes. The galaxy was no longer a place of fear and mystery. It was their home, full of wonders to explore and friends to meet. The Galactic uprising was over. The age of humanity had begun. 5 years had passed since the fall of the Galactic Council. The galaxy was a very different place now. On a beautiful planet called New Eden, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for a historic event. The newly built Hall of Unity gleamed under twin suns. Its architecture was a blend of styles from across the galaxy, with a distinctly human touch. Inside, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Admiral Sarah Chen, once captain of the Phoenix, stood at the podium. Her eyes scanned the diverse crowd. Humans, aliens of all shapes and sizes, even AI representatives. They were all here for one reason. "Today," Sarah began, her voice carrying across the hall, "we celebrate not just the 5th anniversary of our victory, but the birth of a new era." She gestured to a group seated in the front row. They were the last surviving members of the old Galactic Council, now stripped of their power. We could have chosen revenge, Sarah continued. Instead, we chose justice and reconciliation. That is the human way. That is the way of our new alliance. The crowd erupted in applause. Among them, Dr. Emily Chen wiped a tear from her eye. She remembered the dark days after the initial attack, when humanity's future seemed hopeless. Now, humans were respected leaders in a peaceful galaxy. On the screens around the hall, images flashed of the amazing progress made in just 5 years. New cities rose on Earth, blending human and alien architecture. Schools showed human children learning alongside young aliens, all part of an exchange program. In space, massive stations served as hubs for interstellar trade and cultural exchange. Ships of all designs zipped between the stars, many powered by engines based on human innovations. Sarah's voice brought attention back to the podium. "But our greatest achievement isn't out there," she said, pointing to the sky. "It's in here." She placed a hand over her heart. "We faced extinction and emerged stronger. We confronted our own darkness and chose light. We proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our newfound abilities. It's our capacity for compassion, our drive to improve, and our unbreakable spirit." As if to emphasize her point, a group of human children walked onto the stage. With them were young aliens of various species, all holding hands. Together, they began to sing a song of peace in a dozen different languages. In the audience, old warriors felt tears in their eyes. Zextra, a former rebel from a warrior race, leaned over to his human friend, Jack Harper. "You know," Zextra rumbled, "I used to think humans were soft. Now I understand. Your softness is your strength." Jack grinned. "Took you long enough to figure that out, you old battle axe." As the song ended, Sarah raised her hands for silence. "Today, we take the final step in our journey. The Galactic Alliance is no more." A murmur of confusion rippled through the crowd. Sarah smiled. "Instead, I present to you the United Galaxies, a true democracy, where every world, every species has an equal voice." The hall exploded with cheers. On screens across 1,000,000 worlds, beings of all kinds celebrated. The age of oppression was truly over. As the ceremony concluded, Sarah found a quiet moment alone on a balcony. She looked up at the stars, remembering the billions lost in the initial attack. "We did it," she whispered. "We made your sacrifice mean something." A soft voice behind her said, "They would be proud." It was Emily, her old friend, and the scientist who had unlocked humanity's hidden potential. "Do you ever wonder," Sarah asked, "what would have happened if the Council had just left us alone?" Emily laughed. "They awoke a sleeping giant. Their greatest mistake was underestimating humanity." As they watched the twin suns set, casting a golden glow over New Eden, both women felt a sense of peace. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged triumphant. They had not just survived, they had thrived, and in doing so, had lifted an entire galaxy with them. The stars no longer seemed distant and cold. They were beacons of hope, promising new adventures, new friendships, and a future brighter than anyone could have imagined. Humanity's trial by fire was over. Their era of triumph had just begun.